The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had broken 1,000 species. When their scout ships found Earth, they expected nothing special. Just another soft planet full of soft creatures. They were wrong. Kim Do-yoon woke up in darkness. His head hurt. His mouth tasted like metal. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy and slow. The last thing he remembered was walking home from work in Seoul. The sky had turned strange. Lights had fallen from the clouds. Then nothing. Now he was somewhere cold. Somewhere that smelled like chemicals and fear. He opened his eyes. The room was made of gray metal. No windows. No furniture. Just walls and a hard floor. Do-yoon was not alone. Around him, dozens of people lay on the ground. Some were awake. Some were still sleeping. All of them were confused and scared. A woman next to him sat up. She wore the uniform of a paramedic. Her name tag said Park Yuna. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes were calm. "Where are we?" she asked. "I don't know," Do-yoon said. An older man nearby laughed. It was not a happy sound. His face was worn and scarred. His knuckles were thick and rough. He looked like someone who had seen many fights. "We are not on Earth anymore," the old man said. "I can feel it. The gravity is different. The air tastes wrong." His name was Lee Tai-woo. He was 62 years old. He had been a boxer once, many years ago. Now he was a prisoner, like all of them. A door opened in the wall. Light poured in. Something tall walked through. It was not human. The creature stood 3 meters tall. Its body was covered in hard black shell, like an insect. It had 4 arms and 2 legs. Its face had no expression. Its eyes were cold and empty. "You are awake," the creature said. Its voice came from everywhere at once. Do-yoon realized there was something in his head. Something that turned the alien words into sounds he could understand. "Good. I am Vectis. I am the warden of this facility. You are now property of the Dominion." Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Vectis continued. "You have been selected for the arena on Corax Prime. You will fight for the entertainment of the Dominion. You will fight other creatures. You will fight machines. You will fight each other. Most of you will die. This is your purpose now." A young woman in the back started crying. A man tried to run toward the door. One of Vectis's arms moved so fast that Do-yoon could not see it. The man flew across the room and hit the wall. He did not get up. "Resistance is pointless," Vectis said. "Every species tries. Every species fails. Your kind is small and weak. You have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. Humans last 3 cycles on average. Accept your fate." Then Vectis left. The door closed. The light disappeared. For a long time, no one spoke. Some people cried. Some people screamed. Some people just sat and stared at nothing. Do-yoon counted. There were 48 humans in the room. 48 people taken from their homes, their families, their lives. 48 people who were supposed to die for alien entertainment. He looked at his hands. They were shaking. He was scared. He was more scared than he had ever been in his life. But he was also angry. "Listen to me," he said. His voice was quiet, but something in it made people turn and look. "I know you are afraid. I am afraid too. But we cannot just sit here and wait to die. What can we do?" Someone asked. "You heard the monster. We are weak. We have nothing." Tai-woo stood up slowly. His old bones cracked, but his eyes were sharp. "The boy is right," he said. "I have fought my whole life. I have lost many times, but I never lost because I gave up before the fight started." Yuna stood up too. "I am a paramedic," she said. I save lives. That is what I do. I will not stop doing it just because we are not on Earth. One by one, other people stood. A woman named Choi Yoonji, who taught martial arts. A young engineer named Shin Boyang, who always asked questions. Others, whose names Do-yoon did not know yet. They were strangers from different cities, different lives. But they were all human. They were all in this together. They think we are prey, Do-yoon said. Let them think that. Prey animals do not work together. Prey animals do not plan. Prey animals do not fight for each other. He looked at each face in the room. He saw fear in everyone. But he also saw something else. Something that would not break. We are not prey, he said. We are human. And humans do not die easy. That night, they began to plan. Do-hyun watched the guards through the small window in the door. He counted how many there were. He noticed when they changed shifts. He saw how the energy barriers flickered when the power cycled through the station. Yuna organized the medical supplies they could find. Taiwu started teaching basic fighting skills to those who had never thrown a punch. Boyang studied every piece of alien technology she could see, memorizing details, looking for weaknesses. They did not know if they would survive. They did not know if they would ever see Earth again. But they knew one thing for certain. The Dominion had made a mistake. They had taken humans. The arena of Karax Prime was ancient. It had been carved into the bones of a dead moon 1,000,000 years ago. Billions of creatures across the galaxy watched its fights through holographic screens. Death was entertainment. Suffering was sport. The Dominion had built an empire on blood and screaming. The humans arrived in chains. Guards pushed them through long gray corridors. Other prisoners watched from behind energy barriers. Do-hyun saw creatures of every shape and size. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had no bodies at all, just floating clouds of light. All of them had the same look in their eyes. Defeat. Hopelessness. Broken spirits. Their cell was a large room, with hard metal beds and a single water tap. 48 humans. 48 souls far from home. The first fight came 2 days later. Do-hyun watched from the viewing area as 3 humans were pushed into the arena. The crowd of aliens roared through the speakers. Holographic advertisements floated in the air. On the sand below, a creature waited. It looked like a wolf, but wrong. 6 legs, metal teeth, eyes that glowed red. The 3 humans had no weapons, no armor. No chance. The fight lasted 4 minutes. When it was over, only one human came back. A young man named Jang Minho. He was covered in blood. Most of it was not his own. He had killed the creature with his bare hands, using moves Taiwu had taught him just days before. But his 2 friends were dead. That night, the humans gathered. They held a small ceremony for the dead. They spoke their names. They shared memories. They cried together. Other species watched this through the barriers. A group of large reptilian creatures called the Torvan stared with confusion. Why do you waste energy on the dead? One of them asked. They are gone. Grief helps nothing. Yuna looked at the creature. We remember them because they mattered, she said. Because their lives had meaning. Because forgetting them would be the real death. The Torvan said nothing, but he kept watching. The fights continued. Every few days, some humans were chosen. Some came back. Some did not. By the end of the first month, they had lost 7 people. But something was changing. During one fight, Choi Yoonji fell. A blade had cut her leg deep. Blood poured onto the sand. The crowd cheered. They expected her to crawl away and die like prey animals always did. Do-hyun did not crawl away. He ran toward her. 3 creatures stood between them. They were tall and fast and had arms like swords. Do-hyun had a broken pipe he had found in the sand. He fought like a demon. He took cuts on his arms and chest. He felt bones crack in his hand. But he did not stop. He stood over Yunji's body, and he fought until Yuna could reach them and drag her to safety. The crowd went silent. Then they went crazy. They had never seen anything like this. A creature fighting harder for another than for itself. A creature that would die to save someone else. It was strange. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. The Dominion loved it. Ratings soared. Humans became the most popular fighters in the arena. But more important, things were happening in the shadows. A young Torvan named Grell had been wounded in a fight. His own people had abandoned him. Resources were limited. The weak were left to die. That was the way of the arena. Why UNA found him bleeding in a corner of the common area. She did not ask what species he was. She did not care that his people had been cold to humans. She simply knelt down and began treating his wounds. Why? Grell asked. His voice was weak. I am nothing to you. Yuna smiled as she worked. You are hurt. That is enough reason. She tore strips from her own clothing to make bandages. She gave him water from the human supplies. She sat with him through the night, checking his fever, changing his dressings. Word spread. The Torvan elders came to watch. They saw a human woman caring for one of their children as if he were her own. They did not understand it, but they felt something they had not felt in decades. Hope. In another part of the prison, a species called Belisari huddled in fear. They were telepaths. Fragile creatures with thin bodies and large eyes. They had been broken long ago. They no longer fought. They simply waited to die. But their minds could feel emotions from far away. And lately, they had been feeling something strange from the human section. Not despair. Not surrender. Something bright and burning. Something that refused to go out. Their elder, Mivra, reached out with her thoughts. She touched Doan's mind while he slept. She found anger. She found grief. She found fear. But underneath all of that, she found steel. This human did not just want to survive. He wanted to tear this place down. He wanted to set everyone free. He believed it was possible. Against all evidence, against all logic, he believed. Mivra pulled back from his mind. Her hands were shaking. What did you see? Another Lysari asked. Mivra looked at her people. They were thin and tired and had given up long ago. I saw fire, she said, and I think it might be warm enough for all of us. That night, whispers began moving through the prison. The Torvan spoke to the Cassini. The Lysari spoke to the Vreen. Species that had not talked in years began looking at each other differently, and they all kept watching the humans, watching them grieve together, fight together, share food with strangers, refuse to abandon the wounded, refuse to break. The arena was meant to crush hope. It had done so for 1,000,000 years, but hope had finally found a way in, and it spoke with a human voice. 3 months had passed since the humans arrived at Karax Prime. 31 of them remained. 17 had died in the arena. The Dominion expected the rest to be broken by now. Every species broke eventually. That was the rule. But humans did not follow rules. Doyun sat in the corner of the cell, drawing maps in the dust. He had memorized every corridor he had seen, every guard rotation, every camera position. Boyang sat beside him, adding details she had noticed about the power systems. The main generator is here, she whispered, pointing at a spot on the map. If we could reach it, we could shut down the barriers. We cannot reach it, Dohyun said. Not alone. There are too many guards. Too many locked doors. Then we need help. They looked at each other. The same thought was in both their minds. That evening, Dohyun asked to speak with the Torvan. The Torvan were massive creatures. They stood 2.5 meters tall. Their skin was thick scales. Their hands could crush stone. They had been warriors once, proud and strong. The arena had spent 6 years beating that pride out of them. Their champion was called Korath. He had fought longer than anyone. His body was covered in scars from 100 battles. His eyes were empty. He had stopped caring about life years ago, but lately something had changed. He had watched the humans. He had seen them carry their wounded instead of leaving them behind. He had seen them share their food with a Torvan child that their own people had abandoned. He had seen Yuna spend 3 nights healing Grell, refusing to sleep until his fever broke. Now Do-Yoon stood before him. "I want to make you an offer," Do-Yoon said. Korath laughed. It was a dark sound. "Humans have nothing to offer. You are small, weak. You will die like everyone else." "Maybe," Do-Yoon said. "But I do not plan to die in the arena. I plan to tear it down." Korath stopped laughing. He stared at the small human in front of him. "You are insane." "Probably. But I am also serious. The Dominion thinks we are all broken. They think we will never work together. That is their weakness. They have never seen 100 species fight as one, because it is impossible. We are too different. We hate each other." "No," Do-Yoon said. "We are afraid of each other. That is different. Fear can be overcome. Hate can be unlearned, but only if someone takes the first step." He held out his hand, a human gesture of trust. "My people have a saying," Do-Yoon said. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." The Dominion is everyone's enemy, so everyone can be friends. Korath looked at the hand. For a long time, he did not move. Then, slowly, he reached out and took it. "My people have forgotten how to hope," Korath said. "You remind us what it looked like." The Torvan joined that night. 12 warriors, including Korath and young Grell, whose leg had healed thanks to Yuna's care. The Lysari came next. Mivra appeared in Do-Yoon's mind without warning. Her voice was gentle but clear. "We have read your thoughts," she said. "You do not just want to escape. You want to burn this place to ash." "Yes," Do-Yoon said out loud. The guards would have thought he was talking to himself. They did not know about Lysari telepathy. "Then we will help you," Mivra said. "We are weak in body, but our minds can see through walls. We can hear thoughts from far away. We will be your eyes and ears. Welcome to the fight," Do-Yoon said. Other species followed. The Vreen were small creatures that everyone had ignored. They looked like rats with too many legs. They could not fight, but they could burrow through anything. They had been digging tunnels under the arena for years, just to survive. Now those tunnels had a purpose. The Cassini were 4-armed warriors. They had been broken decades ago. Their spirits were crushed. But when they saw the coalition forming, something woke up inside them. They remembered who they used to be. Even some of the guards joined. Many guards were not Dominion. They were conquered species forced to serve. They hated their masters. They had just been too afraid to act. Now they passed information. Schedules, codes, weapon, locations. Vectis noticed the changes. The prisoners were talking to each other. Different species were sharing food. The humans were at the center of it all, always helping, always organizing. He did not like it. "Schedule a special event," he told his officers. "The humans have become too popular. It is time to remind everyone what happens to hope in this place." He chose the harvest engine. It was an ancient war machine, 20 meters tall, armed with plasma cannons and molecular blades. It had killed thousands of fighters over the centuries. No one had ever defeated it. The announcement came that evening. Tomorrow, the humans would face the harvest engine. All of them. At once. It was meant to be an execution. Do-Yoon heard the news. He gathered the coalition in the tunnels the Vreen had dug beneath the cells. "They are trying to break us," he said. "They want to show everyone that hope is useless, that fighting back is pointless." Korath growled. "Then we show them the opposite. It is suicide," Akasni said. "The harvest engine cannot be defeated." Moyang stepped forward. She had been studying the machine for weeks through security footage. "Every machine has a weakness," she said. "The harvest engine is powerful, but it is old. Its joints are slightly slow. Its sensors have blind spots. And its power core is exposed at the back of its head. Someone would have to climb it to reach that core," Taiwu said. "While it is trying to kill everyone." Dohyun nodded. "I know. I will do it." Yuna grabbed his arm. "That is suicide." "Maybe, but if I do not try, we all die anyway." He looked at the faces around him. Human and Torvan and Lysari and Vreen and Cassini. 100 creatures who had been enemies, who were now friends. "Tomorrow, we do not just fight for survival," he said. "We fight to show them what we are. All of us, together." No one argued. That night, no one slept. They prepared. Dawn was coming, and everything was about to change. The arena was full. Billions of viewers watched through holographic screens across the galaxy. The stands around Korax Prime were packed with Dominion elites. They had come to see humans die. They had come to watch hope be crushed. Vectus stood in his private viewing box, clicking his mandibles with satisfaction. The humans had been entertaining, but now they were becoming dangerous. Their ideas were spreading. Other species were starting to look up, starting to think about rebellion. This would end today. The gates opened. 31 humans walked onto the sand. The crowd roared with hunger. They wanted blood. They wanted screams. They wanted to see the small creatures from Earth torn apart by the greatest killing machine the Dominion had ever built. The harvest engine rose from the ground. It was a monster of metal and fire. 20 meters tall. 4 massive legs. Arms that ended in spinning blades. A head full of plasma cannons. It had destroyed armies. It had broken species. For 1,000,000 years, nothing had survived against it. Dohyun looked up at the machine. His heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. His hands were shaking, but his mind was clear. "Remember the plan," he said quietly. The humans spread out across the arena. They were not running away. They were taking positions. The crowd noticed. They began to whisper. This was not how prey behaved. Then the second gate opened. Korath walked out. Behind him came 12 Torvan warriors. Their scales gleamed. Their eyes burned with something the arena had not seen in years. The crowd went silent. "What is this?" Vectus screamed. "This is not authorized." But it was too late. Another gate opened. The Lysari emerged. They were fragile and small, but their minds were already reaching out, creating a psychic shield around the fighters. The Vreen burst from holes in the sand. They had been digging all night, placing themselves under the arena floor. The ground beneath the harvest engine began to crumble. The Cassini pushed through a maintenance door. They carried weapons made from stolen scrap metal. 4 arms each arm holding something sharp. The crowd began to panic. This was not entertainment anymore. This was rebellion. Vectus screamed for guards. Half of them did not move. They stood still, watching. They were conquered species, too. They had families in chains. They had been waiting for this moment without knowing it. The harvest engine activated. Its cannons began to glow. Now, Dahyun shouted. The coalition attacked. Korath and the Torvan charged the machine's legs. They could not destroy it, but they could distract it. They could keep its attention away from the others. The Lysari projected their psychic shield. It was not strong enough to stop plasma, but it could deflect the smaller weapons. It could give people extra seconds to dodge. The Vreen kept burrowing. The sand shifted under the engine's feet. It stumbled. Just a little. Just enough the Cassini threw their weapons. Most bounced off the armor. But some found gaps. Joints. Sensors. Small damage that added up. And the humans did what humans do best. They adapted. They coordinated. They refused to give up. Yunji led a group around the back. They threw rocks and metal scraps at the engine's rear sensors. Moyang shouted coordinates based on what the Lysari fed into her mind. Taiwu pulled wounded fighters to cover, his old hands still strong enough to drag twice his weight. Yuna moved through the chaos like a ghost. Every time someone fell, she was there, bandaging, stabilizing, keeping people alive one more minute. The harvest engine killed 6 in the first 2 minutes. 3 humans. 2 Torvan. 1 Cassini. The sand turned red with blood, but they did not break. More fell. A Lysari collapsed from psychic strain. A Vreen was crushed by a falling leg. Humans were thrown like toys. Still they fought. Dahyun watched, waiting for his moment. The engine was distracted. Its sensors were damaged. Its footing was unstable from the Vreen tunnels. Now he ran. The engine's leg was like a building. But it had grooves, panels, things to grab. Dahyun had been a Marine once. He had climbed worse. He started climbing. The engine felt him. It tried to shake him off. A blade swung past his head, missing by centimeters. Plasma fire scorched the air around him. His hands bled. His muscles screamed. He kept climbing. The crowd had stopped cheering. They just watched. This tiny creature crawling up the most powerful war machine ever built. It was impossible. It was insane. It was human. Dahyun reached ahead. The power core was right there, behind a thin panel. He had one chance. He looked down. He saw his friends fighting and dying below. He saw Yuna saving another life. He saw Karath roaring as he held a blade arm away from a fallen human. He saw hope. He pulled out the knife he had hidden. A simple blade, stolen from the kitchen. He opened the panel. Inside, cables sparked with energy. Enough power to level a building. For everyone we lost, he whispered. He drove the knife in. The explosion was like the sun. Do-Yoon felt himself thrown through the air. Heat, pain. Nothing. The harvest engine fell. Its legs crumpled. Its weapons died. 20 meters of death crashed into the sand and did not move. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the arena erupted, not in cheers. In riot, across the station, prisoners saw what happened. They saw the impossible. They saw the engine fall. They saw different species fighting together, winning together. They rose up. Gates were torn down. Guards were overwhelmed. Barriers that had held for centuries fell in minutes. Vectus ran. He made it halfway to his ship before Karath caught him. The Torvan did not make it quick. The uprising spread like fire. Within hours, the entire station was in rebel hands. And in the middle of the arena, Yuna found Do-Hyun. He was burned, broken, barely breathing, but alive. She held his hand and cried. Around them, 100 different species stood in the ruins of their prison. Free for the first time in their lives, the arena had fallen, and it had fallen to hope. 3 days had passed since the uprising. The arena of Karax Prime was silent for the first time in 1,000,000 years. No crowds cheered for blood. No prisoners screamed in fear. The great machine of death had become a hospital, a shelter, a home for the free. 217 survivors walked its halls. Humans and Torvan and Lysari and Vreen and Cassini and others. Species that had been enemies now shared food and medicine and hope. Do-Hyun woke up on the 4th day. His body was wrapped in bandages. His skin felt like fire. Every breath hurt. But he was alive. Somehow, he was alive. Yuna was beside him. Her eyes were red from crying and lack of sleep. But when she saw him open his eyes, she smiled like the sun coming out. "You are awake," she said. "I thought I lost you." "Takes more than an explosion to kill me," Do-hyun tried to joke. His voice was weak. Everything was weak. "Do not make jokes. I have been sitting here for 3 days, watching you breathe, wondering if each breath would be the last." Do-hyun reached for her hand. She took it and held on tight. "The others?" he asked. 24 humans survived. Taiwu is fine. Yoonji broke her arm, but will heal. Boyoung has not slept since the uprising. She is doing something with the communication systems. And the coalition? Yuna's smile grew wider. "You should see it. The Torvan are guarding the doors. The Lysori are helping coordinate everyone. The Vreen found the food stores. Even the Cassini are laughing again." "We did it," Do-hyun whispered. "We actually did it." A knock came at the door. Korath entered, ducking his massive head to fit through the human-sized frame. "You are awake, little human," he rumbled. "Good. I was worried I would have to lead this rebellion myself." "You would do fine," Do-hyun said. "No, I am a warrior." "You are something else. Something we needed." Korath sat down heavily. "I have fought for 6 years. I have seen many brave creatures die in that sand. But I have never seen anyone do what you did. Climbing that machine with nothing but a kitchen knife. I had help. We all did. Yes, that is the point." Korath leaned forward. "Before you humans came, we did not help each other. We had forgotten how. You reminded us." Boyoung appeared in the doorway. She looked exhausted but excited. Her eyes were wide with something like wonder. "Do-hyun, you need to see this, now." They carried him to the command center. It took 4 people. He was too weak to walk. The room was full of screens and controls. Boyoung had spent 3 days learning the alien systems. Now, she understood them better than the Dominion officers who had run this place. The arena did not just broadcast to local space, she explained. It broadcast across the entire Dominion. Billions of viewers on thousands of worlds watched every fight. "We knew that," Yuna said. "Yes, but look at this." Boyoung pulled up a display. It showed messages. Thousands of messages. Millions of messages. All coming from different parts of the galaxy. "These started arriving an hour after the uprising," Boyoung said. "They have not stopped." Do-hyun looked at the messages. They were in hundreds of different languages. The translation implant in his head worked overtime, trying to keep up. "We saw you," one message said. "We saw the humans stand. We saw others join. Is it true? Are you really free? My people have been slaves for 200 years, another said. We thought it was impossible to fight. Then we watched your broadcast. Now we are thinking again. Tell us how you did it, a third pleaded. Tell us there is hope." "They all saw it," Boyoung said quietly. "Every slave world. Every conquered species. Every creature in chains across the Dominion. They saw the harvest engine fall. They saw us working together." Maria floated into the room. A telepathic voice touched everyone's minds. "I have been listening to the galaxy," she said. "The Dominion is in chaos. They do not know how to respond. They have never faced anything like this. For the first time in 10,000 years, they are afraid." Do-hyun looked at the messages. So many voices. So many creatures who had given up hope. Who had accepted their fate as slaves. Now they were asking questions. Now they were thinking about fighting. "We need to answer them," he said. Boyoung nodded. "I can set up a broadcast." Same channels the arena used. It will reach everyone. Do it. They carried Do Yun to the broadcast station. Korath helped prop him up. Yuna stood beside him. Tai Wu was there, old and scarred and proud. Yunji with her broken arm. Boyao at the controls, and behind them, visible through the window, the coalition. Human and Torvan and Lysari and Vreen and Cassini and others. All waiting. All watching. The light turned green. They were alive. Across the galaxy, screens flickered. In slave pits and prison camps and conquered worlds, creatures stopped what they were doing. They looked up. They listened. Duhayan spoke. This is Kim Do-hyun of Earth, speaking from the ruins of Karax Prime. 3 days ago, we were slaves. Today, we are free. He paused. The words were hard to find. But they came. We did not win because humans are special. We are not stronger or smarter than anyone else. We won because we refused to die alone. We won because we fought for each other. We won because we built a family out of strangers. He looked at Karth, at Mivra, at the faces of 100 species who had become friends. The Dominion built this arena to break us, to teach us that hope is worthless, that working together is impossible, that we should just accept our chains. His voice grew stronger. They were wrong. We are not broken. We are not alone. And we are not staying here. He leaned forward. His eyes were fierce. This is not the end. This is the beginning. We are coming. And anyone who wants to be free, anyone who is tired of kneeling, anyone who wants to stand up and fight for something better, we have room for you. We have room for everyone. He smiled. They expected us to die. They never expected us to inspire. We are coming. And we are bringing friends. The broadcast ended. For a moment, silence. Then the messages started flooding in again. 10 times more than before. 100 times. We are with you. We are ready. Tell us where to go. We are coming. Do-hyun closed his eyes. He was exhausted, broken, barely alive, but he was smiling. Across 1,000 worlds, in 1,000 prisons, slaves looked at their chains. They looked at their masters. They looked at each other. And for the first time in a very long time, they began to hope. The revolution had begun, and it had begun with humans who refused to break.